It is 5:30 PM on Wednesday, May 28, 2025. I call this special meeting of the Kingsville Independent School District to order. We will now have roll call. Joe Mireles.
Here.
Brian Kufal.
Here.
Martin Chapa.
Here.
David Garcia.
Here.
Jacob Perez.
Here.
Delma Salinas.
Here.
And Joseph Reese here. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code, Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. We move to a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
We move, We move to item number 4, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So motion made by. Second. Second by Martin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is adopted 7-0. Item number 5, public participation. Do we have anyone who wishes to address the board?
Yes, sir, we have one, Mrs. Elizabeth Ramos.
Okay,
PTO Harold.
okay. Mrs. Ramos.
Hello. Good evening, interim superintendent. Oh, no, not that one again. Okay. I'm going to speak on agenda 7A. Please read this with me in your mind. Discussion and possible action to approve legal services for Nick Maddox and Associates. Remember, the last time the board renewed the contract with O'Halloran, I was against it since the contract had no expiration date. Do you have it in your agenda, the current contract right now? I asked during that meeting if Peter Pitts had done a search or an inquiry for legal services for the board or any other law firm. He said no. Therefore, I voted no. Since then, the majority of the work O'Halloran has done has been to service the previous superintendent for her personal goals in helping HR harass employees. The previous superintendent also stated years ago that an administrative employee took training to complete open records requests class so that they are timelier, don't cost the district any more in general funding. That was another lie the previous superintendent told us. O'Halloran has been doing them for the district from start to finish. He goes in the hands of Ms. Castro and goes straight off to O'Halloran. Also, since the district since then has not been in compliance with open records requests with state law. One being there needs to be a sign in the building where you do your open records request with the directions on how it works. That has never been there. But Sissy was perfect, so no need to point that out. You could cut your fees down considerably by allowing the administration to do open records requests and only use O'Halloran to look over it to make sure that it's in compliance if there are any questions about that information. I also want to point out that Maddox has been involved in those records and personal information about children's education, and some of that has left the district under his supervision. One being my child's information. I had a rumor spread in the public about me over those documents that ended up in the hands of a private individual about money that was said I received from the district that I never received. Those documents were concerning my son's educational rights, with KSD levelly denied my kid for many years. Another email he did not inform anyone about, unless the previous board president Kufal knew about it, never told any of y'all. Was the email I sent my son's principal and previous superintendent that was forwarded by the superintendent to her own personal email address. I still have a level 3 grievance on this, along with another concern about special education, which probably the 6 of you have never even heard about. It's been 2 years. I wouldn't give Maddox a job when he can't even work within the boundaries of the law concerning kids' rights. He helped Sissy hide that email from me. To close this, I'd like to point out that the wording to the agenda makes no sense tonight. The way it is written states that KISD should hire a lawyer for Maddox, which makes sense considering how shady he has worked in the past. You probably do need legal representation against him. As far as the agenda KISD post goes, is the least transparent and informational about any agenda in all of Claiborne County and surrounding government entities. Agenda 7A gives the public nothing to participate about since it's so badly worded. Are you hiring a lawyer for Maddox or I'm using my power of deduction here, or maybe you're getting rid of a Holland and going to hire Maddox? Table this, it's awful. It's no right for the public to have any kind of say-so over this. Secondly, I would like to request an expedition of the audit for Harold PTO on the next agenda. A member of the current PTO has been harassed by the public because the investigations are taking too long. She wants the truth to be told, and there's people's lives that have been affected, not only children. I'm also under the information that PTO efforts have been on hold and not fulfilled, such as the 4th grade ice cream party winners for the Penny War Challenge, top 3 popcorn seller gift card winners, and they did not have a campus field trip like promised. Some kids did go on a field trip for going to Bright Blue Fridays, and that was as far as anyone has been told. Where did the PTO funds go? What was the campus fundraisers money spent on? The previous PTO member has been in touch with a few board members and nothing has come of this. It has been since April 1st. I also want to put on the next agenda not only PTO funds, but the booster report policy. I do want to point out that the former superintendent stated on April 15th, the district has determined that the organization is no longer operating in compliance with the expectations outlined in policy. Question you should ask yourself: how is the PTO supposed to operate within the policy? If it's not posted online in board policy and Peter Pitts never visited PTOs or boosters, KISD should look just as bad in this as the PTO did. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ramos. Now moving on to item 6, under new business 6A, discussion and possible action to approve legal services for Nick Maddox and Associates P. LLC. At this time, I would like to request that I make a motion that we table this and talk about an executive session before we make a decision. Is there a second?
If I can just jump in real quick, Mr. Board President. So the item, if you table it, you would be tabling it, and it tables for a full meeting. If you intend to want to take action on it after executive, then I would not table it, just take it into executive. But I do want to remind the board that you cannot talk about the merits of the matter in executive. You can only receive legal advice about the services agreement. So if you want to get legal advice on it, we can go into it. But if you want to consider it after, then I wouldn't table it. If you want to be able to talk about it at this meeting. If you do table it, then it would be tabled for this meeting completely.
Okay. So then, is there a motion to go
Into executive session for legal advice.
for legal advice?
I have a question though, sir.
Yes,
Merits
sir.
of the matter, can you give any example?
Sure, so if we're talking about, for example, the rates, the scope of services, things like that, we wouldn't be able to talk about that in executive. It would have to be in open. You can receive legal advice about the contract in there, about Mr. Maddox, but not about the merits of the contract, such as rates, scope of services, things like that.
So you're saying that right now, we could talk about rates, the term of the contract, we could do that right now?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And we could also do it after receiving legal advice.
That's correct. You
You
can
know,
also
so
do
that we
that.
can come back out and talk about all that today.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay.
What legal advice would we need?
I don't know if there's any specific questions, Mr. Garcia.
I'd like to just pose, if I could, ask some questions as far as O'Hanlon's budget for us this year, Dr. Pitts. Can I ask that?
I mean, if it's in relations, if the information is to be used in your consideration for what's on the agenda, then yes, you can ask
Yes.
the information you need to, yes, sir.
Because I'm gonna be totally honest with you. we're in a position where we need to be frugal with the funds that we have as a district, guys. Just gotta look at that. And I'd like to know where we're at, Dr. Pitts, with the budget that we set aside. Have we already met that budget? Are we gonna go over on budget? Are you all gonna ask us for more money for the current services, things like that? Can I ask that?
Yes, if you need that information to consider the item,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Absolutely. So far, we have spent about $191,000 through the first 7 months of the year. We only set aside a maximum of $243,000 for the whole year. So we will go over budget, and we would have to bring this back to you to add more money probably in the next 2 months or so. The last couple of months, we have exceeded $30,000. A lot of that has been for a lawsuit, but last year, just to give you a comparison, we spent on average $14,100 per month. So conservatively, I budget $243,000. That should have been well more than what we needed. But right now, we are running way over what we did last year.
Which means that we would have to come back to us, approve more money for
Correct,
the legal service.
correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, because you approve it going all the way through August 31st, and there's no way that $243,000 is going to last all the way till August 31st. We're already at $191,000.
What are you looking at, Dr. Pitts? What are we looking at, rough number?
Well, we're probably looking, it all depends on what services we have, but we're probably looking conservatively at $350,000 or $360,000 instead of $243,000.
But 243 is what we're budgeted for. Is that what the contract is with O'Hanlon?
The contract is based at an hourly rate. I believe it's $225 per hour for attorney fees, and it's, there's a different rate for paralegals.
What about
No.
litigation? The longer it takes, the longer they're working on it, they're billing us, right?
It's per hour, yes, sir.
So the current contract expires in August. Can we,
The contract does not expire. It's an evergreen contract, but we can terminate it at any time with board action, but also we can also render it effectively, I guess, dormant by just not using any hours. We don't have to use any hours at any time, and then it wouldn't cost us any money. And as you saw, I sent 3 months of hourly billing to you, so you see that what it's being used for by department.
I appreciate that information you got us, but when I first saw board expenses, and I was looking at the money that it said the board spent, my text or my phone call wasn't a $10,000 call, so then that's when you broke it down for us. It was more coming from these offices here, I think, than coming from us here on this board, correct?
Yes, a lot of it was from different offices around here that requested help in different matters, including the lawsuit.
Okay. But it just, because I was thinking, if we were all making those kind of calls, I'd be calling 8 days a week, to run a bill that has a board member, is my point that I'm trying to make. So thank you for the information.
purpose of attorneys to be able to call them at any time. But I do have a question. When did you set this up?
When did I send you, like the last three, it was a couple of months ago that you're talking about the breakdown for,
When I asked for the
yes, that was the time.
So I guess just for the record, Dr. Pitts, Mr. President, Tony Garcia, so routine phone calls with board members are not charged to the board. And the only matters that are billed are substantive legal matters if it's dealing with actual work from the school district. So board member calls are not billed. And I just confirmed that with Mr. Maddox, since most of the billings would have been with Mr. Maddox, since he was in charge of your accounts.
But I
calls
appreciate
not
that
just from
information.
board members, but from everyone in the admin office.
Sure, so unless it leads to substantive legal work that comes out of it, then no. A 3-4 minute phone call with a quick question about something is not something we normally would bill.
Okay, so on the agenda, it's talking about Nick Maddox as legal counsel?
So what you have on the agenda is to approve a legal services agreement with Mr. Nick Maddox and Associates.
Do we have a right to hear what he's proposing?
Of course, yes, sir.
Mr. Maddox, would you have a problem discussing that with us?
I do not, no, sir.
Okay? Thank you, Dr. Pitts.
You're welcome.
The one that's directional, it is, okay. Good evening, President Ruiz, Superintendent Dr. Gama Garcia, and board members, trustees. Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity. I understand that we're in this room today for this agenda item, and so thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak. I started in education law, start of my 3rd year of law school, was my last year of law school. And I was practicing as a full-time associate my whole last year of law school, and I've been doing that ever since. So that puts me at about 12 years of practice now. All I've done is education law for that entire time. For about 8 years of that time, I've been serving Kingsville ISD as your board counsel and as your administrative counsel. We've been through a lot of highs, a lot of lows. Got to know you all really well. I consider you friends as well as colleagues. And I believe that Kingsville is a very unique place. In my time working with you all and working with other school districts, you have a unique community, you have a unique board, and you have unique needs. And so it's been a pleasure to learn about you individually, why you're on the board, what you're serving, and to help you with those initiatives. What I'm proposing today in terms of cost is a flat fee. And so what that does is all phone calls, all travel, all trainings, everything would fall under that flat fee, which would allow your administration to have one set number per month, and it never goes up, no matter how much work is involved. I understand the budget is $240,000. I'm proposing a significant cut to that. I'm proposing a cut down to $150,000, which is about $12,500 per month. Again, that amount will never increase, no matter how much work is thrown our way. I think this is really important for your district specifically. I think this matches you very well. One, because of financial constraints, but another because your staff is very good at calling legal counsel at the start of issues. And this can be bad and good. It's bad because it runs up legal bills, but it's good because those problems are solved before they become really big problems. The average lawsuit runs between $40,000 and $70,000 for one lawsuit. Every lawsuit that we stop is saving that money. And so they're very good about checking in with counsel, and that's a benefit to you. So if we can remove the cost aspect to that, then they can continue those phone calls, continue having us involved in all of their problems, and allow you guys to reap the reward of those quality legal services and reap the reward of the cost savings benefit. So the flat fee would allow them to do that. That said, I just want to say on a personal note, I enjoy working with you all. There's been several times in the back where you've told me I've earned my keep, and I appreciate those comments. This is what I love to do. This is what I enjoy doing, and I'd love to continue doing this for Kingsville ISD. Any other questions for me?
Yeah, I have a question. Do you know how many other school districts that potentially you could be serving, say, within the next 10 days or so? Have you met with any other districts? And if so, have you, reached any agreements with them?
Yes, sir. So Benville Puerto Blanco ISD signed me last night on a flat fee as well. I've only been on my own for less than a week now. So as you know, agendas take time to post. There are more that I'm in conversations with, and we'll see if those come to fruition.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I can, I know that, Nick's been with us since I've been on the board, and I've learned to trust him, and also have learned to call him out on some things, strictly professionals, while we're doing that. But I know his commitment is with KISD. He took us through the legislation to sign off on the unfairness of the start, thank you for doing that, you know? And also during the superintendent search, that he's working with us, you know, I think we're at a crucial time. And saving $90,000, you know, which could be used for a playground at Harold. It could, you know? So, I just speak on my behalf, that thank you for doing the work that you do, for us. And I know that Kaylee's here as well, because she's part of it too, and strictly professional, firm is O'Hanlon, and it's not nothing personal, whichever way we go, but, my vote last week, save money. I got voted down. Oh well. I just want to be on record that I'm here to save some money. So, and we saved some money with Mr. Maddox. And that's all I have. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Mr. Maddox, are you proposing a month-to-month or a term contract?
It would typically be annual contract. I'm happy to put an end date on that. That doesn't scare me. If the board would like a month-to-month contract, I would entertain that.
This would be potentially supplemental to and not replacing the O'Hanlon law firm. Is that kind of as you see it?
That is correct. So O'Hanlon is on an hourly billing cycle. If they are not engaged in work, there is $0 being billed. It's never a bad idea to have options. Most districts do, and we work well together. There's no bad blood between us, and I'd be happy to be colleagues with them and serving your district.
Nick, I have another question. I know there was some recent allegations in a newspaper article that was produced, I guess in the Raymondville area. Could you address any of those accusations and exactly what transpired in those events?
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to. So that's what we call a political hit piece. I believe everyone on this board and all the lawyers in this room have probably suffered a hit piece from a time or two. There's usually one kernel of truth, and the rest, like in this case, is certainly not true in a hit piece. I do have a side business with my brother. It does service school districts for social media. It does have nothing to do with practicing law. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with campaigning. I've spoken with some of the other districts that are currently using that service. They welcome you to call them. They're superintendents, one of which is Ben Bolt. They're very happy with that service. It did collide in a way that a reporter in the Valley, which has very tenacious politics, decided to, for whatever reasons, run a hit piece on that. That's unfortunate. As far as everything else I read in that article, nothing else was true except the fact that I do have that business and I can service Raymondville ISD with it. Not a whole lot else to say to that. I don't like giving credence to rumors and things that are untrue, except to say that I'm happy to give you my book of business on that. I'm happy to have you reach out. I believe they'll write letters of recommendation. They've already said that they would.
So my question would be, I mean, could that newspaper potentially be sued for printing lies, I guess? Would that be?
I thought about it. I did, of course, because it's about me and it's hard to take the hits, right? Newspapers have great protections. It's New York Times versus Sullivan, which is the case that gives them extreme protections against libel and slander lawsuits. Quite honestly, I'm not looking for a media war. I do have a response that I've prepared, again, including some of the statements from some of the clients of that business. I have considered releasing it, but I wanted to speak with you all about tonight before I go out and do anything like that.
So you wouldn't be opposed for us to contact, I guess, Raymondville ISD to, in fact, what transpired? You'd be okay with that?
Yes, sir. And a few others as well, if you wouldn't mind, that are also using the service.
Okay.
You know, we have several employees, administrations that have contracts that are also have positions with the district. Okay, so we're gonna do for one, let's do it for all. Okay, so I don't see nothing wrong with the business, but if we're just can't just isolate one person. We got people in administration, now that also have side businesses. So we just need to look at that as well. Nick?
Yes.
As far as your contract or what you're going to offer, is that's not here, is it? Am I missing something?
No, sir, it's not in front of you today. I was working with Dr. Peter Pitts to try to solidify these numbers, and I was unable to do that. But it'll look a mirror image of your O'Hanlon contract, except for the end date if you wish, and the flat fee that covers everything.
So I don't know if I can make a decision with having that contract in front of me.
I understand.
Me personally. But I did have some, when we get to that, if we ever get to a negotiation stage, I personally have some stipulations I'd like to talk to the board about, since we're here. I'm not crazy about everybody calling you kind of deal. That's my own personal opinion. I think all the calls should go through our interim superintendent and when we hire our permanent superintendent. That's my personal opinion. I think it's, like you said, I understand what you said the positives are and the negatives. I just personally think that's a negative. So that would be something that I would personally would like to discuss with all the other board members to get feedback before I make a decision.
Yes, sir, and many districts will do that. So board operating procedures, so your policy currently has stated that the superintendent and the board president can contact legal counsel at any time. And in the case here, the former superintendent extended the authorization to her staff. Now, boards can adopt board operating procedures, also change policy, of course, to make that chain of command however you see fit for your district. We do that all the time.
And I can appreciate that because I think to keep our interim superintendent in the loop, she has to know, and my thing would be is if there is a legal question, then whoever needs that answer would go to our interim. She would either make a call or give permission or make the call, or even be in a conference call with her and legal. So the green light for anybody to call at any time we'd have to tighten that down, because that, in my personal opinion, not that of anybody else, I don't like people going around the CEO and making calls that they shouldn't be making or not letting her know, and it'd be a shock on something, But I can appreciate that, and it's our decision to do that.
Yes, sir, it is. We can help you craft that.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
So being that, I guess discussion of possible action of legal services for Nick Maddox and Associates, is there a motion to approve that?
Mr. President, I make a motion that we accept the proposal. It's not a proposal yet, barring that we look at the actual final product before we say, but that we allow Nick Maddox to prepare that for us to be our legal counsel.
Mr. Garcia, if you like, you can authorize your administration to negotiate that and approve it if you like.
Okay. I'd like to authorize that, but the administration can approve that.
Is there a second?
Second.
I want to know, I'm still confused about what we're voting on.
So basically, we're gonna vote on the ability to, I guess, accept Nick's proposal, but it will be negotiated by Dr. Garcia. As far as the flat fee and all that stuff,
And then we'll have to vote again.
I guess to approve the contract, no?
You can approve it at the board level tonight and authorize the superintendent to finalize the negotiations and the terms, none of which will exceed what we talked about here tonight. And then at that point, she can approve it.
So we have a first and a second. I guess we'll take,
I'd like to ask Dr. Garcia about her opinion.
Yes.
What's about this?
So my opinion is, again, having been here for less than a month, is that I feel very rushed to make this decision. We do have an attorney. O'Hanlon who are here. And what I would recommend to the board is to pause on the decision right now, do our due diligence, have the conversation that we need to have, get clear on what the contract is, and really understand what it is that we're trying to gain at, or what are we gonna lose, and have a broader conversation around the attorney services. Dr. Pitts and I have been in conversation around who are the attorneys that we work with, because there's multiple ones. What are the fees that we have been paying? Where do we find savings? And then we also started talking about a protocol for our leadership team to figure out how do we funnel more of the communication and have a better, stronger process to ensure that we keep this amount down or flat, period. That's like, because we know that financial stewardship is a goal for the board. So that would be my recommendation, to just wait and bring this up in another board meeting. Otherwise, it feels really rushed.
Well, with all respect, Dr. Garcia, what I'm looking at is numbers. I'm looking at savings. Okay, we're gonna be up at 300,000+ by the end of the contract. Is that right, Dr. Pitts?
Correct.
Let's just leave it at that. That's 90 grand that we could put on back in our pocket.
And we're looking at the same thing. We're trying to figure out then also what is the negotiation that we have to do with our current attorneys, both for the search. I think there's a place that we can negotiate there for the way we bill or the way we surface things to them in the coming months. But we have the same goal in mind. We don't want to be spending money on that. We don't want to spend any additional money on legal fees that we don't have to.
I think we need to clarify that the search is completely outside of this conversation. That's a whole separate issue. It has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation that's going on. O'Hanlon will continue that. Because I share your concerns. This is very quick and it's happening very, very quickly. But because this is a supplement as opposed to a replacement, there's really no harm, no foul. I ask about a month to month, and I'm not suggesting necessarily a month to month, but I'm sure the contract will have exit language for either side. So if we were to adopt this, we should see immediate savings. And if it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. We've still got a contract with O'Hanlon that we can use to work there. I personally see this as perhaps a transition period to determine where we go longer term.
If I could interject, there would be, if we move forward with this, there would be one thing that we are bound to we would start paying $12,500 a month to Mr. Maddox, regardless of how much we used him, because it would be a flat fee. And I presume we probably started June the 1st for the month. So if we used O'Hanlon in addition to that, that would be billed at the hourly rate of $225 per hour. So unless we were to use Mr. Maddox almost exclusively, then we would not see a savings if we were having to do one flat rate and not using, using the other attorney at the same time.
Well, you're gonna have to look. Does O'Hanlon, do we have any outstanding bills?
Right, so that's a really good question. So if I can just step back briefly. First of all, if I can address Mr. Colville's point regarding the contract and the term. Based on our rules of professional responsibility for attorneys, we can't hold you to a contract for a year. That's why our contracts are evergreen and month to month. As the client, you have the right to get rid of your attorney, including us, at any time for any reason or no reason at all. So that would be true for any attorney, no matter what contract they bring you or what length of the term of the contract they bring you. Question number two, Dr. Pitts did reach out to me and asked us if our firm could offer a flat fee service for the district. I told him we would, and we're preparing the proposal for him that he indicated that he wanted from us. And so we're gonna send that over to Dr. Pitts. With respect to, is there something outstanding? I believe there currently might be outstanding bills, but for work that has already been done. If we're looking prospectively for the month of June, there is some work that's still happening. We would do everything in our, we would do everything feasibly possible to pass over to Mr. Maddox, whatever we can to ensure that whatever we don't need to needlessly bill because he can do, that we would pass over to him. We have no problem with that. We work at the disposition of the board. There are some things inherently though that we will have to still work on just because, for example, you have some non-renewals coming up that does require 2 attorneys. So Mr. Maddox would sit with the board and then we would still have to work on the administration side to move forward with the non-renewals. An update that we'll give you in executive session tonight as we get ready for that, those are coming up. But the answer to you, Mr. Garcia, is there is probably an outstanding bill. I don't think our bills for April have gone out or May. So you normally don't get until the following month. And with respect to June, we are gonna work at the direction of the board and we will make sure we pass whatever we can to Mr. Maddox. And I know he'll take on whatever he needs to take on to ensure that we try to offset the cost as much as possible for you.
Thank you.
So I get this, at this point, we have a motion made by David Garcia and a second by Joe Mireles. So we're just
Mr.
gonna.
President, real quick, so if we're at 240, monthly is about, roughly about 20 grand, okay? You're saying that at any time, the board can say, O'Hanlon, we're gonna, no more, okay, that's okay, we'll say that. But then we go with this other law firm, and I'm trying to get this right, which is about 12,000 or so, 500, whatever. We could still use O'Hanlon at an hourly rate.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
If you keep the current contract we have right now, you would just bill us, or let me rephrase that. You would just assign to us the work you need to assign to us, and that would be billed at an hourly rate. Alternatively, once we send the proposal to Dr. Pitts, the board can also consider our flat fee structure.
Is there any more discussion?
I have a quick comment. The only concern I have is having 2 law firms, or the situation that if we do approve it, it just, to me, it might get to a point where, what are you doing? What is Mr. Maddox taking care of? If we say, Maddox, we don't need you anymore, well, then he's gonna have to give you what he's been working on. And is that gonna cost the district more? I'm pretty sure it is, if you all take it on. It's just having 2 different law firms, or a lawyer and a law firm, because I know Nick's on his own. That's just my only concern is if there might be some type of confusion, because you're dealing with legal matters, and I know you guys are professionals and you know what you're doing, but that's just my concern. I'd rather just have one law firm work with that law firm, because then again, you get to the situation, well, who did you call? Administration. Who did you call? Well, I called Nick. And the other administrator, well, who did you call? I called O'Hanlon. They're gonna be, telling the superintendent that, it just, I don't know, that's my only concern about this situation.
I agree with Mr. Pettis in that, if we're gonna pay Mr. Maddox about 12,500.
Yes, sir.
And the average, according to Mr. Pitts, is 14,000.
Last year it was, this year was significantly higher. We're talking at least $28,000 a month this year, but again, we've been embroiled in some issues.
If we're still gonna use O'Hanlon, then I just don't see a lot of savings adding up.
Well, board, if I may, so 2 ways the flat fee works. One is it can act as a cap. So I will still record my time as if I'm billing hourly and send it as an invoice, as if it's an hourly invoice. Now, if that time doesn't add up to that 12,500, it'll be the lesser of the 2.
if I can make just also one quick comment, I do understand that this year's, in terms of legal work, there was some anomalies compared to last year. You had some sped issues, is my understanding. And so you have the non-renewals, or you're working on right now too, things you didn't have last year. And so the fluctuation is based on the need of the district, right?
We've had sped issues the last
Litigation, I'm sorry, yeah.
6, 7 years already,
Yeah.
but Dr. Pitts, last year,
Yes, sir.
did we meet the budget with O'Hanlon, or did we go over?
No, last year we met the budget, but I want to clarify that our special education issues have gone to Walt Sanders.
Yeah, but we don't go
Yeah.
under special education.
It was, yeah, it was a litigation component there, not the sped one.
All right, so we got a motion made by David Garcia, second by Joe Mireles, I guess by roll call vote, that we want to proceed with legal services for Dick Maddox and Associates. Joe Mireles,
Yes.
Brian Kufal,
Yes.
Martin Chapa,
No.
David Garcia,
Yes.
Jake Perez,
No,
Delma Salinas,
Yes.
and Joseph Reese, yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the motion passes 5-2.
Thank you for your support, board.
Now moving on to item number 7, the board will close session. The board will now enter into closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074 to deliberate and consider the following. Item A, consider and deliberate regarding the appointment of contracted administrators, principals, Harvey Elementary, and assistant principal elementary as well. And then consultation with legal counsel regarding legal and personnel matters. No action will be taken, and we are entering closed session at 6:11 PM. session to take necessary action on matters on which the board may discuss in open session and upon which action may be taken. We are entering to open session at 7:04 p.m. Item A, discussion and possible action regarding the employment of contracted administrators, principal, Ahari Elementary, and assistant principal. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the administration? So moved. Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Joe Mireles, second by Brian Kufal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I did it, Nick, I did it all together. Did they have to be individuals? Because it looks like they have them set up individually in the back.
If the board wishes to approve them all in block, you're allowed to do so.
Okay, very good. Well, there was no discussion of possible action regarding legal matters that we needed to address.
No action.
Okay. So now moving on to item number 9, adjournment. We now adjourn the meeting. I'm sorry, that there being no further action, I do hereby adjourn the meeting at 7:06 p.m.